Sports Talk with DeAndre Branch. On today's show, I will be talking about the college football playoff, and I'll be giving a preview and my predictions of what I think is going to happen during the playoffs. Most years, you can pretty much pick who's going to win the college football playoff and be correct. This season is the most wide open since the format was made. Alabama actually is favored to beat Clemson, despite being the number one team, but not by much. Oklahoma opened as a 1.5 point favorite over Georgia, but that line has since flipped over the other way around. There's no surprise that it's no clear-cut favorite this year because it wasn't a true standout team this season. It seemed like whoever was the best team during that time, it changed like every 2 weeks. Since the new playoff format originated, there has been at least one blowout in one of the semifinal games. I think that would change this playoff. I feel the teams are pretty much evenly matched up. The Sugar Bowl will consist of the number 1 seed Clemson playing the number 4 seed Alabama. This is a rematch from last season's national championship in which Deshaun Watson led the Tigers to a 35-31 victory over Alabama. This is the third season in a row these two teams are meeting in the college football playoff. They have split the first 2 meetings. Instead of playing in the national championship like the first 2 meetings, they'll be playing in the national semifinal, which is the Sugar Bowl. Clemson got here by relishing with pressure in the ACC championship. Their win over Miami clinched the top seed in the college football playoff. If they would have lost, they probably wouldn't even have gotten in the college football playoff. They currently have a 12-1 record, and Alabama is 11-1. Clemson goal is to repeat as national champion, but first they must beat Alabama. Clemson started the season off as the number 3 ranked team in the nation. For the most part, they have handled every team they played besides their loss to Syracuse earlier in the season. Alabama did not control their own destiny by getting into the college football playoff because their 26-14 loss to Auburn left them out of the SEC championship. Alabama was able to get in because Ohio State beat Wisconsin in the Big 12 championship. If Wisconsin would have won that game, Alabama wouldn't have gotten in. It was a big controversy that win should have put Ohio State in this game against Clemson, but their 2 losses stopped that from happening. Alabama doesn't have big wins on their resume because Florida State struggled this season due to not having Deondre Francois pretty much all season. Their 1 loss was a good loss because Auburn was a top 10 team at the time. The biggest matchup to watch is Alabama's potent rushing attack against Clemson's talented defensive line. Alabama relies on their running game with quarterback Jalen Hurts and running backs Damian Harris and Bo Scarborough. All of them have over 500 yards rushing this season, and Alabama is 11th in the nation with 265 rushing yards a game. Their rushing attack will have their work cut out for them against Clemson's strong D-line. Their D-line is led by first-team All-ACC performers Clelin Ferrell, Dexter Lawrence, and Christian Wilkins. Clemson held Miami's good rushing attack to 104 rushing yards on 30 carries in the ACC championship. It'll be a long day for Alabama if they cannot run the ball against this talented D-line. I think Clemson is more talented and quicker than Alabama and will find a way to pull out a very close and competitive game with the score of 29-23. In the Rose Bowl, number 2 Oklahoma will be playing number 3 Georgia. Both teams come into the game with the record of 12-1. The biggest matchup in this game is between the quarterback for Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, versus possibly the best defensive player in the country that plays for Georgia, Roquan Smith. Baker Mayfield won the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, the Walter Camp Award, the Davy O'Brien Award, and he was named AP Player of the Year. Roquan Smith won the Buckets Award. Smith is one of the most talented linebackers in the past several years. He's quick and elusive. Both of these great players are expected to be drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft. This game will be decided by Oklahoma's high-scoring offense and Georgia's dominating defense. Whoever wants it more is going to take it. Oklahoma averaged 45 points per game this season, which is good enough for 4th in the nation. Georgia has the 2nd best pass defense in the nation behind Alabama. In my opinion, Oklahoma's weapons on offense will be too much for Georgia. The SEC has some of the most talented receivers in college football, but I don't think any of them are as talented as Oklahoma's. And I don't think any team in college football has more weapons outside of Clemson. I expect Baker Mayfield to have a big game and continue to show why he's the best player in the country and was named the Heisman Trophy winner. In my opinion, this will be the best game of the season. But at the end, I think Clemson will get the best of Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield, and they will repeat as national champions. Clemson has way more talent, and they are more experienced than Oklahoma, and that will prevail them in this victory. Baker was the greatest player in college football this season, but sometimes he gets too pumped up and is prone to make mistakes and stupid decisions. I think he will have a great game, but he will make a costly turnover that will cost Oklahoma this game. And I think Clemson will win with a final score of 35-31. This concludes my show for today. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. Make sure to leave some likes and some comments down below to let me know what y'all thought about the video. If you're a new viewer, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure to watch both of these great games on New Year's Day, Monday on ESPN. Oklahoma and Georgia will play first, and that game will be at 5 p.m. And then they're followed by Clemson and Alabama, and that game will be at 8:45 p.m. The winner of these games play for the national championship 2 weeks prior from that day. Be out.